Welcome to VoteProPot-Cast, the award-winning cannabis news podcast brought to you by VoteProPot.com. Here are your hosts, Phil Adams, Jay Britton, and Andrew McCreadies.
Mike Tyson has an innovative new cannabis product. 5 ways you didn't know cannabis can affect your body. Can a landlord evict a tenant for using his or her medical cannabis? And Andrew's going to start us out with, should California ban cannabis advertising to protect children and teens? First, you may notice that it's just Andrew and I today. Right, Andrew? How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I just noticed that. Thanks for pointing that out. Phil's daughter just had a baby.
Yep.
And Phil went down to see her and spend a couple weeks with her.
He's being a grandfather, right?
Big granddad. And then he's going to go on this big annual family beach vacation. So, Phil's going to be not with us for the next couple of weeks, I think.
Yes.
I think he might try to connect with us remotely if he can.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Faye will be filling in for him when he can't. But unfortunately, Faye wasn't able to join us today because we forgot to call her until like 10 minutes ago. I go, damn. We called her.
I forgot, man. Hey, Faye. Yeah. Oh, well.
And literally when Jay went, did you call her? I went, no, I thought you called her. Oh, shit. So
we got to go in like 5 minutes.
So Faye, together, we like to say, sorry. Sorry, Faye, man.
Hey, listen, if you like what you hear,
Phil.
If you like our podcast, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast and share us with a friend. Andrew, tell us about this possible California ban.
Yeah, so what they want to restrict where you can advertise cannabis companies. Now, this obviously has been an issue from day one. And I think, like in some areas, they say you can advertise on billboards. Some areas say you can't advertise on billboards. Some areas say you can't advertise on a billboard 1,000 feet from a school or daycare center. And some people are going, children travel more than 1,000 feet from school.
Yeah.
So I can never.
So is this all within California? So different jurisdictions?
I think there are different jurisdictions that
I see. So different counties have different.
I think the state's going to be weighing in on it as well. But right now, I know San Diego banned billboards within 1,000 feet of schools. So now they're sort of recalling what happened during the 70s with tobacco advertising. Because if those of us who remember, there was tobacco. I mean, Marlboro ads were everywhere. On the back of every magazine was a Marlboro ad.
Absolutely.
And
billboards, like you said.
And on television as well. And billboards. And they cut that back. They stopped that. And they said that it did have an effect. They're saying children were seeing that and going, well, it must be all right if they're advertising it everywhere. And the whole reason for the ban is to protect children and teens.
Well, you had the Marlboro Man and you had the camel. And they said the camel was aimed at kids. Remember that?
Yeah, Joe the Camel, yeah. Yeah, well.
So where?
I don't know. When I was a kid, I didn't like camels.
the cigarettes or the animals?
I was more of a Lucky Strike kind of kid,
So
what? Filterless.
Let me ask you this: Where can they advertise? Where can cannabis companies, dispensaries and stuff? Where are they allowed to advertise?
Well, there's obviously a big restriction online too, and all social networking platforms,
and TV and radio too. Is that right?
Well, I think I've never. No, I don't listen to a lot of like regular broadcast radio anymore.
That's true.
And when I do, I really haven't heard of anything. Well, I listen to the local country station sometimes. Because my friend Tom is like the DJ, the drive time,
the
DJ.
Morning drive guy. Yeah,
yeah, and plus he's like part of the family. The guy's a really good friend. But
no, I don't think they're allowed to.
Tom Whalen,
right?
Shout out to Tom Whalen on a WFRE in Frederick, Maryland. Yeah.
Dude, you almost blew it there.
Oh man, can you edit
Tom
that
would
out?
kill us both. Shout out to Tom.
When I was in the bar business, I cut them a lot of checks. I should remember that. Anyway, yeah. So what they're saying, these kids, so they want to restrict the advertising. So where do they advertise? I think now, and for cannabis, we were talking about this last week. There's a lot of cannabis publications opening up across a lot of the legal states. You know, I know in Maryland there's a bunch of them, and they're high quality print advertising, and they're selling a lot of advertising to these cannabis companies because they don't have anywhere to advertise.
Right. Well, at least the big advertising, yeah.
Right. You couldn't do billboards, so a bunch of cannabis companies now are sponsoring highways. You know, like that's highway cleanup is by by some company. Yeah. They're doing that, and that's not really advertising. I guess there's no restrictions on that.
Well, I know I was out in Vegas not too long ago, and I saw a bunch of ads, but I'm trying to remember where I saw them. I don't think it was billboards. It was like around hotels and stuff for dispensaries and whatnot. But I could be wrong. I might.
Right. Now in Vegas, they're advertising gambling and prostitution legally.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I think the weed would. You know, what about the children? Really?
All right. Well, that's interesting. We'll keep up with that. You know, you mentioned something last week. We'll move on to Mike Tyson. You mentioned this briefly, and I looked into it a little bit. Now, I'm sure everybody's kind of seen it around the internet and stuff. Mike Tyson has a new product coming out. It's not out yet, but it's coming. And it's a weed-infused 3D printed cup. And when I read more about what this actually is, and like I said, Andrew, you brought it up last week, it's actually pretty damn interesting because, first of all, you read articles all the time in the business mag saying that the next huge wave in the cannabis business may very likely be drinks, right? Infused drinks.
Beverage, big time.
The problem is there's a few things. One, we talked about several weeks, maybe a couple months ago, about the effect that the canisters, whether it's a can or a bottle, have on the THC. Remember, there was a problem with infusion, and there was a problem with that way getting the correct dosage because it changes once it's packaged. Well, this product is very cool. Boxing heavyweight champion Mike Tyson is crushing it. He founded the Ranch Companies, which is a global company he has, which underneath that is the Tyson Ranch, which is a cannabis resort he's working on. I don't think it's open yet. Do you, Andrew? I think it may be, but anyway, he's got so many things going on.
Didn't they say they're going through like they're smoking like
$30,000 worth of weed?
Right. It was like they were smoking like 400 pounds a month or something.
Right.
Something crazy.
Well, what he did is Tyson's partnered up with this company called Smart Cups. And what they've done is they've created the first ever 3D printed beverage that can be activated by any liquid, really, water, or you could put
water
soda.
soluble.
It's water soluble, and it's printed in a cup. So the cup's empty with this thing printed inside of it. And what it does is when you add liquid to it, it infuses, dissolves completely, and gives you an exact dosage. So he's partnered up with these guys who I couldn't find it, but I assume they have a patent on this. And it is pretty slick. The Smart Cup.
Cool.
Yeah, isn't it cool? Right now, they actually make a product. This Smart Cup. It's an energy drink. So he's teamed up, Tyson's company has teamed up with this technology to come out with, once it's all legal and, you know, regulated and stuff, with a drink, which I think is really cool. They said
it doesn't matter the beverage; it's the cup that gets you high, not the beverage.
It's the
so
cup.
You can put anything in it.
Right.
So now we can play weed pong.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, water, beer, Coke. You know,
Then you can play
liquor.
weed pong.
Literally.
Weed pong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like beer pong.
They say in a specific application, they use water-soluble cannabinoids and are able to precisely print them on virtually any surface. So they print this on the cup and it dissolves. And again, it gives them exact dosage. So that's another application for this technology relates to the medical side of cannabis. Many patients, as you know, cannot smoke cannabis for whatever reasons, and they don't like oils and they don't like edibles. So this could be a really great way to dispense medicine.
Put fruit juice. Or
you got 10 milligram.
water,
It's in a cup.
iced tea.
You can put any amount of water, fluid. It doesn't matter. You're going to get 10 milligrams whether you put that much water in it or you fill it up. It's going to give you 10 milligrams as long as you drink it all. So, it's a very cool product, I think. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's coming out. They haven't said yet. They got to work through some regulation stuff, but hopefully they have a patent on it and they'll be able to capitalize on that because I think it's very
I'd like to add that Mike Tyson is like Jim Belushi. It isn't just a name licensing deal. They're getting their hands dirty. They're helping. He's actually working the company.
Exactly.
I mean, it's his company. Like,
it's not just
his.
Like so many of the celebrities we hear about. What you're saying is they lend their name. They're licensing.
It's like
their
a
name.
Trump hotel. It's just the name.
Yeah, and name only. But no, these guys, you're right. Jim Belushi and Mike Tyson are in there doing it, man. Mike Tyson doesn't get credit because he's a bright guy, man. He's always been very innovative and in boxing and outside of it, I think, personally.
We got a bad rap because when he first hit the scene, he became world champion at 19 or 20 years old. And you give what 20-year-old kid who becomes a millionaire is not going to have issues? You know, I mean, not going to. And everyone's calling him world champ. I mean, gosh.
Yeah,
but anyway, I'm
tough.
glad to see he got his life together because he definitely had challenges. You know,
he did
when he was younger. But he's doing great now, man. I mean, he's one of my favorite people. Him and Jim Belushi are my two favorite celebs. And obviously Tommy Chong or
Tommy
Cheech
Chong,
now, and Willie. But
Steve D'Angelo too. He's God. We could sit here.
But these guys were celebrities elsewhere and came to cannabis.
That's true.
Steve D'Angelo is a celebrity because of cannabis. I mean, he's a cannabis celebrity, man. He's like the original cannabis celebrity. It really wasn't his. Remember that show that he had?
Yeah,
that was years ago. It's like 10 years ago.
That's been a while,
right?
What was that show called?
It was about the Harborside dispensary in San Francisco.
It was very cool.
Yeah, but that was kind of easy. Anyway,
so you got something on tenants being evicted for using cannabis. What do you got?
Oh yeah, actually, here's what happened. We were talking to one of our friends, Kevin from high school.
Yeah,
who is one. You know, we played in a band, and Kevin was a musician too. He wasn't in our band, but he was a good friend of ours, and just another local another musician. And over the years, Kevin has become a quite sought after sound man. He's like really good. He's got great ear, man. The guy's got a great ear, and he's really, really, as well as he plays too. And matter of fact, last time I saw him jamming, he was, I think, mixing for a band. He got up and sang a couple tunes. And
that's all right. Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Kevin's a good dude, good friend, and talented guy.
We've known Kevin since 8th grade. Anyway, he owns a rental property in Ocean City, Maryland, a beach resort.
At the beach, yeah.
At the beach. And it wasn't happening to him, but I think it happened in his building, that there were some tenants who went out on the balcony and smoked weed, and one of the other guests called the police because they smelled weed. The cops get there and say,
"Narc," and
the guy with the weed said, "Yeah, I was smoking weed. Here's my card." And I was outside. I mean, what the
right?
When the lease I signed, they said no smoking. If you want to smoke, go outside on the deck.
Right.
Well, that's
which is what he did.
Which is what I did. So yeah, some people now in some cases there's some areas in Ocean City like that because there's a lot of rentals that are managed by people and there's different management companies that I don't know. They're putting their foot down. They won't let you. They'll ask you to leave if they catch you smoking weed, and they'll keep your deposit, or they won't let you back, or they'll charge you extra. Now, I can understand if you're smoking inside the house. Now, if you stink the place up, okay, I get that. But if you did that with a cigar, someone went in there at a card game,
same
and
deal,
you had some guy sit there for 24 hours smoking 20 cigars, it's the same thing, man, dude. It'd be awful.
I'm laughing because I do have a little experience with this subject.
Oh, tell us your story, Jay.
Okay, I was traveling, and I went out of town, and I was in a state where it's legal, and I bought myself some, and I was hanging out in a hotel, and I was doing my thing on the balcony, not bothering anybody. And the time came to pack up and leave. It was in the morning, and I had to fly cross country. And so I'm packing my shit up and I'm a little hungover and I'm like, God. And I look and I got like half a joint left. I'm like, man, this shit cost me some. I'm not going to. So I went in the bathroom and turned the fan on and I was like, and I killed it. And just as I walked out with my wheelie suitcase, boop, 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 boop on the door, right? And the door opens and it's the woman to clean the room. And I could see her face like, really, dude? So I just left, I went to the airport and all that and did my thing. And I got home. A couple of days later, I get a bill in the mail or on email and I look at it and they've charged me an extra like $300 or $350. And I was like, well, that's bullshit. I'm getting on the phone right now. And I call and can I speak to the manager, please? And first, it's just a really nice woman. And I said, look, I got a little problem here. I got a bill and I got an extra $350 charge on my bill. What's up with that? She goes, hold on, let me check, and I'm sitting there, doot, 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 doot. She comes back on and she says, according to the notes here, your room reeked of marijuana. So we couldn't rent it for a night. So we charge you a night's rent plus an extra cleanup fee or something. And I was kind of frazzled, so I just hung up. So what's the deal? I mean, I don't know. I guess if you're in a Holiday Inn or whatever the hell it was, you
got to watch that. Now, I do know that in California and Washington and Oregon and even in Nevada now, there are like bed and breakfasts, B&Bs that sort of
cater to it. Yeah.
Cater to it. And I mean, not only do they allow it, they'll even like supply it for you.
Cannabis travel is getting huge.
Right.
Yeah. Cannabis tourism, they're calling it. Mm-hmm. That's very true.
Yeah, but then again, I read a story the other day. Some guy, someone complained because they smelled marijuana, and it turned out it was his home and he lived there, but it was subsidized housing. He was,
we did that story last week.
Yeah, he was disabled, and they threw him out.
Yeah, they evicted his ass.
But I got a legal card, man, and
it's medicine,
again,
man.
I don't know if he was smoking inside or outside or what to do. Was it? And also, I think if you're renting an apartment and you smoke it, and they find out you're smoking cigarettes inside of it, they're gonna charge you extra. They're not gonna fucking.
Yeah, I
evict
get that.
You.
I get that.
So I don't know. I don't understand that.
I made a mistake. I shouldn't have. I should have gone on the balcony and done it, but I was getting ready to leave, and I just turned the fan on, and they never would have known probably if the cleaning folks had come 2 or 3 hours later. But it was literally,
Yeah.
Yeah. Be right with you.
Really?
Anyway, you learn your lessons.
Hand to the road. Here, kill this, man.
You learn your lessons, right? It is what it is.
Yeah. But a lot of people now. So now, what do you do? Now I'm thinking of moving, and I'm thinking about maybe eventually buying something somewhere, but
you might rent first.
But I'm going to rent first because I'm thinking about moving, a couple hours from where I'm living currently now. And so I want to get a feel for the place. And I thought, let's go rent a place for a couple months, or a month or a year or something, whatever. So I'm thinking, so should I go to him and go, I have a medical marijuana card. Is this going to be an issue? And I'm thinking I'm just going to just say that. Do you do that? Or
would you? Oh.
Do you do that? Or do you just go outside and just, no one's going to, it's not against the law to eat an edible and,
Right. Well, I think the question is what's on your lease, What does it say on your lease?
And I guess it should return. But now, if cannabis is legal, then it should, whatever it says about smoking cigarettes, because I'm sure a lot of leases should apply.
I agree with you.
I think that's fair.
I think that's fair. You have to step outside to smoke on the patio or whatever.
People that hate marijuana. There's people that hate marijuana, and they're going to use any excuse to go after people who aren't against marijuana.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of a phase we're going through now where there's still a lot of that kind of controversy and stigma attached. So even though it's legal in your state, for example, lighten up, there's still that stigma. Walking out on my porch, having a few people over, you guys come over, you and Phil come over, we had a cookout. Still really paranoid about lighting up a joint, and somebody calling and complaining. And of course, I can't because it's still illegal in Virginia, but it won't be for long. But even over your house, I know we went to Phil's not too long ago at a little party, and everybody was smoking joints in the backyard, and I'm still kind of like looking around. It's just the just the era we grew up in. I reckon.
Well, Jay, that's why we never go to your house.
Yeah, I know, because it's illegal here. Yeah, and I've got the kind of neighbors.
Phil's house is 15 minutes from mine.
We did have a party here once, and anyway, we won't get into that.
Yeah, but
one of the guests was.
I know at Phil's house or at Faye's house.
Yeah,
it's interesting now to how during it's a social situation. I mean, everyone was in there. The average age was 40s, 50s.
Yeah,
probably. And all professional people, and people were drinking cocktails, and there were nice appetizers and food. And we're in a house in Potomac, Maryland,
beautiful
home, and a very expensive neighborhood, and cannabis was just normal.
Yeah, it was
people
weird.
Were just, would you want to try this?
I still can't get used to it, but you're right. It's an adjustment. Speaking of cannabis, my next story is about the 5 ways that you didn't know cannabis can affect your body. So, everybody knows you get high. You know what you feel. But the effects of cannabis have a lot to do with the endocannabinoid system, the ECS. We know that. All vertebrates have that. This is an article, by the way, from the Canigma. I never heard of them before, but it's Bazinga. I found it on the Bazinga website, but it's originally from Canigma. Number one, there's a correlation between cannabis and lower weight. I'm not a good example of that. Research has shown, however, that while cannabis does boost your appetite, it may actually have a correlation with lower body weight. In 2018, a study found that cannabis users had significantly lower BMIs and obesity rates compared to non-cannabis users. The researchers suggested that acute cannabis consumption reduces energy storage and increases metabolic rates. Some animal-based studies suggest that THCV, a minor cannabinoid that can be found in varying concentrations in different strains, can suppress food consumption and body weight. So I think that's interesting. Now, you're a guy, Andrew, who partakes a lot. I mean, and I'm not making a joke here. You use cannabis very regularly, and you're a skinny guy. You're a very slight guy.
I don't restrict. I restrict my diet for health reasons, but not for calories. Caloric.
Right.
I don't even take that into consideration. You know what?
I went out. You and I went to lunch yesterday. You had like a double cheeseburger and fries, man,
but I didn't finish it till last night. No, you
didn't. That's true.
I ate part of it, but I do. But it's how much I eat. But the other thing is I think for a lot of cannabis smokers is that they don't drink as much alcohol. I know a lot of people who prefer cannabis over alcohol. So they might partake in cannabis a lot, but they don't do alcohol very often.
Not drinking beer.
Right. Yeah. So if you're drinking beer and everything, so for recreational buzz, if you're drinking or smoking, when you're drinking, you're always taking in calories.
Lots of calories. Absolutely. That's a lot of sugar.
And the myth of, not really the myth, but the let's call it a myth. The myth of the munchies is kind of, I mean, yes, sometimes you do get hungry for it, but that doesn't mean you sit there and inhale outrageous amounts of food. What it means when you get the munchies, it's like, oh man,
that would taste so good right now.
This is the best tasting orange I've ever had in my life. Oh my God, this is great. But you're not going to eat 10 of them. But the one you're going to have like a mouth orgasm. Just God, this orange is the best. Let's put some mustard on it. All
right, let me move on here. Number 2, it can help. Again, we're talking about the 5 things that cannabis can do to your body. It can help with PTSD. By overwriting traumatic memories. This one was kind of interesting to me. I never heard of this. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a qualifying condition for medical cannabis in most states, and research has shown cannabis has the ability to reduce PTSD symptoms and improve sleep quality in patients. But what may be more interesting is one of the reasons why cannabis can be effective against PTSD. Scientists found that one of the main receptors the cannabis interacts with, the CB1 receptor, is responsible for instinction learning. Now, I'd never heard of that. I didn't know what it was. That is the process which allows new information to overwrite old memories, including traumatic ones. So, according to this theory by a Yale professor named Andrew Sewell, stimulating C1 receptors with cannabinoids can alleviate PTSD symptoms and possibly cure the condition by allowing instinction learning to take place, overwriting traumatic memories. Isn't that interesting?
Right.
So Absolutely. One of the reasons they're saying, according to some of these studies, that when we know cannabis works for PTSD, we've heard so much about that in the last few years. But the reason they think is this receptor, and because it goes in and actually allows you to write over top of the traumatic memories, which is fascinating to me. So,
well, I think cannabis lowers anxiety.
Oh, they talk about that too.
Yeah. And helps you sleep. And I think when you lower anxiety and you're sleeping and you're eating okay, dealing with a traumatic memory is going to be a lot easier than when you're not sleeping.
Exactly.
And dealing with stress. That exacerbates the whole.
Well, number 3, Andrew, as a matter of fact, is it can both lower, it being cannabis, lower and raise anxiety, okay? With its relaxing effect, which is exactly what you're saying, cannabis is very frequently used to ease stress and anxiety, right?
Right.
A major study in 2015 found that the endocannabinoid system seems to determine the value of fear-evoking stimuli and to tune appropriate behavioral responses. A later study in 2017 asserted that chronic cannabis use is associated with blunted stress reactivity and can lessen how people react to stressful stimuli. So that gets back to what you're saying. So it can be, depending on the dose, it goes on to say,
right,
at different doses, it can be very different. A very low dose can be very relaxing and really help with anxiety, but a very high dose, especially for someone who's not accustomed, can create very high anxiety.
It actually stimulates your anxiety part of the brain instead of relaxing
exactly.
it.
So they recommend, if you're new to it, if you've got PTSD and you want to try to treat it with cannabis, start with very low dosing, and see how your body reacts.
Another thing, we did a story about this a couple months ago, and that is cannabis. If people who smoke cannabis regularly sometimes spend less time in REM sleep and more time in the stage after it. They get good sleep and everything, and they said it doesn't really have an adverse effect.
You're literally going through all these. You're too smart for this article. That is number 5.
Okay.
Good job. No, you're right. You're exactly right.
Sometimes I'll tell you, you're happier if you don't remember all the bad shit. So sometimes a bad memory is a healthy thing.
Number 4 is rare, but it does happen. It's uncontrollable nausea and vomiting. I'm sure you've heard of that what do they call it? Hyperremesis. I've read about it before. It's very rare, but some people react to cannabis in this way. And what it does is it makes them violently ill. I mean, vomiting for hours and days. Yeah, I've heard of it too. It's a syndrome. It has to do, it's not really completely understood, but it is unique to very few people. It has some kind of has something to do with how their endocannabinoid system is set up differently from others. So
everybody's different. I think everybody, people are like fingerprints. There's no two identical.
That's exactly right. And that's true with all. That's true with all.
Their brain works and their body works.
And that's true with all drugs. I mean,
and how drugs affect them. Yeah,
affect people. It's totally. I mean, we all know people who can't frickin' drink. They become assholes and loud and obnoxious. And other people, just get silly and laugh and fall asleep.
What about, remember that country song, "Tequila Makes Her Clothes Fall Off"?
Yeah, exactly. I've known a few of those too.
Yeah, and I know a couple guys. You give them brown liquor, they're gonna fight. Man,
they're gonna find somebody to beat up. Yeah.
No. Well,
and
a lot of times they just go out and get their ass kicked.
They find someone to kick their ass
with the wrong guy.
Number 5 is backing up to what Andrew was just saying, suppressing REM sleep and dreams. Now, I've noticed this, my friend. If I don't partake for a while, like more than a couple weeks, which I do occasionally, sometimes I just lay off for a bit.
Yeah.
And what happens is all of a sudden I start remembering my dreams like vividly. And I've noticed it. It's noticeable. Like I'll wake up and go, holy shit. I mean, it's just some innocuous, meaningless dream, but I remember it like in detail. So
I've read an article about that. What happens was when you take a break from smoking cannabis regularly, you'll start remembering your dreams. And not only that, they say what happens is there's a condition. They say at first you'll start having a bunch of like weird dreams.
Yeah,
just
that's
not,
what it
not
says,
like not nightmares, but just like weird
stuff.
Shit. Just weird. Like
I'm riding a
unicorn. Going, what the hell was that? But then you just go back to a normal. But they say, but very quickly you're just back to
the normal pattern, sort of.
I'm using one of the president's hands.
It says here, many people who have taken a break from cannabis notice very quickly that they suddenly start dreaming more, or at least they find that they remember more of their dreams than they did before. The dream-suppressing effects of cannabis can mean bizarre, vivid, or very lucid dreams, or even nightmares when one stops using it suddenly. And that's what you were just saying, these bizarre, I'm in a submarine, whatever kind of thing. A study in 2008 found that smoked marijuana or oral delta-9 THC reduced REM sleep significantly. At the same time, that study stated that difficulty sleeping and strange dreams are among the most consistently reported symptoms of acute and subacute cannabis withdrawal. I mean, I hate to use that word with cannabis withdrawal, but it's true. I'll take that withdrawal compared to
right because all the bad thing. You can't die from not being able to get some.
That's right.
What happens is
for a week,
you'll toss and turn before you fall asleep.
Ultimately, while the suppression of dreams can inhibit the brain's ability to clean out toxic byproducts, cannabis is a highly effective sleep aid and can help people suffering from insomnia and nightmares to get the rest they need. So from the munchies to red eyes, a dry mouth, and a tendency to laugh at things that objectively perhaps aren't that funny, cannabis has many effects that are common knowledge, but the plant actually has a far broader range of potential benefits and side effects. And as research continues into what makes cannabis work, we'll get an even richer concept of how and when to use it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And you knew all of those. So
right. And the thing I noticed that I know the more I drink, the funnier I think I am. The more I smoke, the funnier I think everyone else is.
Oh, yeah.
So what you said just reinforced that.
Well, listen,
there's a good reason why I don't drink that much.
Yeah. You don't drink at all anymore, man. It's rare.
Well, I do every now and then.
Every once in a while, buy a Grand Marnier when we go out or...
Yeah, or actually I was cooking something the other day and I wanted to add beer to it. And I had a beer in the refrigerator. And so I cracked it open. I poured some in a glass and drank some of it.
I've known you for 50 years. I never see you drink beer, man. Ever.
Well, when we were younger, I'd drink every... I love drinking beer on the beach. Or when I'm traveling somewhere where the beer is really good. I was in the Czech Republic, and I drank a lot of beer there.
Oh, wow.
It was really
they have good beer there?
I drank the Budweiser over there, which was not associated with Anheuser-Busch. It was over there. It's the beer of kings, not the king of beers.
Well, listen, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for Vote Pro Podcast. We missed our buddy.
Already?
We're done.
Wait a minute, we didn't get to Phil's stories. And, I want to thank Phil for not talking over me today.
You're mean. You always make fun of poor Phil when he's not here to defend himself. We love you, Phil, wherever you are. Hope you're having fun with your new grandbaby.
No, right. Actually, this is a test to see if he actually listens to the episode.
To see if he even watches it. Yeah.
I'm not on it. Why should I listen to that?
So thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. And if you like what you hear, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast. Check out our website at VoteProPot.com. Send us an email at podcast@VoteProPot.com. What you got, Andrew?
First off, we're starting something new. We're videotaping these things now. And tonight, I have a new backdrop.
I love it, man.
And of those of you who are listening to this, you're missing, I'm in front. It looks like I actually have my desk in the reflecting pool in front of the Capitol.
How did you get a permit to do that, man? That's amazing.
Like Forrest Gump. Is that Forrest Gump? But anyway, check us out on YouTube. The other thing I wanted to say is, what I'd like for everyone to, I want to start a new thing here on Vote Pro Pot every week. We're going to have I want to start the cannabis joke of the week. So
there you go.
We're asking everyone to submit, either call our line in.
I didn't give our number, did I? 240-257-2441.
Call that and leave us a joke, and we'll play it on the air, or write it and we'll tell it. And if you don't, we'll let Phil tell a joke. So please give us some humor, because we've heard his jokes since junior high. All of his jokes. No,
Poor Phil, not here to defend himself.
I know, but we jest, and Phil knows we're joking. He knows we love him. We love Phil.
We're brothers, man. Again, all three of us.
We've known him. We've literally been friends with Phil for over 40 years.
Yep. So thanks for joining us. What else, Andrew? Where can they find us?
Just call the joke in. And leave messages, or we talk about a lot of things on our podcast, but we barely scratch the surface of what's going on in the cannabis industry and the politics and the lifestyle. So we share a lot on social networking. So please, if you have anything, share your thoughts or any information or any content on our pages. And you can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just do a search for Vote Pro Pot.